All right.
It's now time for the Eld Henderson Real News Show, Organize, Don't Criticize, which airs each Wednesday evening from 6 o'clock p.m. until 7 o'clock p.m. here on WMPR. We now take you to Studio B for the Eld Henderson Real News Show, Organize, Don't Criticize, with Dr. Henderson.
Hello, everybody. This is the Eld Henderson's Real News Show, Organize, Don't Criticize. I want to tell you, folks, I want you to buy my book by the same title, Organize, Don't Criticize, at Amazon.com. You need to learn how to pool your resources, build coalitions, and promote unity with self, family, and community. Your life will change in 30, 60, or 90 days, guaranteed. Organize, Don't Criticize, Amazon.com. That's the book of the century. Buy it today. Hello, everybody. I want to say hello to you. This is another day for the Eld Henderson Real News Show. And I'm telling you, folks, we're going to do part 2 today. Last week, we talked about the black church and its economic possibility. There are a lot of possibilities for the black church. I want to tell you again that we have over 65,000 black churches that are already built, ready to go. The utilities are paid. They have extra space. They usually use the church about 6 hours a week, and they have all kinds of ways to make money. And I like to make it simple by saying make money by renting and leasing spaces in this 65,000 church bodies that we have here in America, and many more in Asia, Europe, Africa, and other parts of the world, especially in the Caribbean area. That's where the black churches are. There are over 65,000 buildings, plus many have storefronts, thousands of them, throughout the same area that I mentioned. And that's why this day, with part 2, we're going to talk about economic development, church strategies through 2050. I'm telling you, folks, you get ready now. And when I talk to you about this today as part 2, you're going to see again that if you continue to organize, which some of these churches are, and stop criticizing the government, elected and appointed officials, and especially the President of the United States, Donald Trump, and others, we must include now these corporate entities, you will never get anywhere if you don't do something for yourself. And again, we are going to show you and tell you and have all the proof and the facts you need that in at least 10 years, your whole economic strategy as a black nation in America and the world can change. And individually, you will find that your family, your community, and others, after learning these strategies, can start organizing and providing what we call a collective effort in 30, 60, or 90 days, guaranteed. Now, some of you don't believe it. You don't think you can do anything. You think it takes 400 and 500 years. That's what will happen if you don't do anything. You're going to get back into what we call economic slavery. And that is something that is not new at all. We are in that now. Most Americans, I'm not saying black Americans, most Americans, about 75%, are what I call economic slaves. They're working hard every day and night, 2 and 3 jobs. Some making $250,000 and some making $10,000, and all of them are broke. They're living from paycheck to paycheck. And if you cut the check off for 3 months, they have to go and beg, borrow, and steal. I'm not talking about all of them, just most of them. Now, folks, This is going to be a positive show, as I always say. I may say a few little side hustle moments, have a side hustle moment where I say something that you think it might not be positive, but it also has a significant meaning. And this is what we are going to put on you today, one more time, part two, where we are talking about building economic development in the black church in America and the world. Now, we're just going to show you that if you have your own resources as the black church, you're going to have your future guaranteed where you will be so strong internationally until the Pope, presidents, and prime ministers all over the world will be coming to you, visiting your church leaders, trying to figure out how you can be sustainable and generate the wealth you need without even borrowing from banks. Because before we conclude this, I'm going to show you that you're going to have your own banks, your own credit unions. I'm going to show you how to get them organized, tell you where they can be located, and all kinds of things. And if you don't do it, that's your fault. I'm not worried about it individually because I know that if certain things don't happen, some people are going to have a serious problem. And I don't intend to have one of them because my job will be fulfilled by telling you how to live, how to work, how to learn, and how to survive. My days are short, yours are long. I always say that if you're 65 or younger, you ought to be listening to what I'm saying today and what you hear other people talk about on radio and television, YouTube, and other places about economic development. If you're over 65, you're not going to do too much other than what you're doing today. Most of you are going to work a few more years. You're going to use something that we call retire. You're going to retire and you're going to get a check or two and hope you can live on that until you die. Work, retire, and die. But those under 65 that will listen today will find that when they get to the retirement age, which probably in a few years going to be recommended by the federal government to be about 75 years. But when you listen to what I'm telling you today, folks, you can retire at 45. If you get with your church leaders and say, I have a plan, we're going to change things. So we want to promote economic sufficiency. We want to have economic development in our 65,000 churches, in our 65,000 communities. Say, we have the space, we have the time, we have the leaders, we have the resources, and of course, we have the money. Folks, when you have all of that, the Lord can't do nothing but bless you and teach you how to expand your wealth, how to create wealth, and how to strengthen your community. We call it community centered growth. That's what we need. I tell you and been telling you for many years that if you don't organize and stop criticizing, you don't have to worry about developing your community because other folks will come and do it for you. But the bad thing about it is they're going to kick you out and use your own space, change your churches into factories and clubs and other things, put you in a ghetto somewhere because you're not going to be able to afford to live in the community where you are living currently. I'm not talking about in the future. I'm talking about currently, right now. If you don't start working on these things that you hear about today, either change or get prepared to be relocated. And when you get to that point where they tell you you have 30 days to move, as they did some people here in Jackson, Mississippi 2 months ago, 30 days. And many of those folks been in that apartment complex for years. And they didn't have the resources to move, but they had to move. And some end up homeless. So, folks, you have to foster self-sufficiency. When you hear something you don't know, learn it. And then start doing something about it. So I want you to understand, folks, that today we are going to look at first how to strengthen your local economic ecosystem. And this is very simple. It means that you're going to learn again how to prioritize strategic community investments. That means you don't invest in any and everything. You have to look at what you need in your community economically. You look at what is already there. You look at who owns those factories and buildings and businesses. And then you want to determine if that community investment will help you or hurt you. Currently, your community investments are owned by other folks. You make them rich. You have the space to put the same business, 65,000 locations in your community throughout America and the other parts of the world that I mentioned, and not using 0.1% of it. So you are going to have to learn, and the preachers and the corporate leaders, the government, and those so called elected and appointed officials are going to have to work with the churches. But the church leaders must organize themselves first. The elders, the preachers, the prophets, the bishops, and anything else you call yourself, if you are in a church and you have one of the denominations backing you or you're independent, you've got to get yourselves together first and do some of the things that you're going to hear today. You already know it, but some of you won't do it. You're just going to wait until the Lord tells you to do it, and He's not going to tell you because He'd have told you already that you need to do better. That's why a lot of you all got into the preaching business, because you have to understand you must prioritize your community economically. Then you got to redirect your church members to use their buying power in the community, in the black community. But if you don't have the resources, the buildings, the services, and the goods in the black community, you can't put your resources there, which means your buying power. And if you do, you will not help yourself. You help others. So I want you to look at something that will be addressed today, and that is providing what we call these cooperative economics that we will be addressing today. We want you to know a cooperative economic concept is where thousands, I better start early with the earlier number, 50, 1,000, 10,000, 100,000, 200,000 people and churches and so forth pooling their resources. We're talking about their monies now, building strategies together so they can create an asset-prone opportunity where the money flows like water, and everybody will start loving you, trying to find out to get what you want, because you are going to have what we call an innovative wealth restoration model, where you are going to register all of these new ideas and you're going to implement something that is totally different and not expected to come from you, because a lot of people throughout the world don't think that American black folks have their plan together for what we call survival. They say we have a history of looking out for others to help us. We even pray that others will help us first. And we love the help we get from the government. We want the government to feed us, generation after generation. I know you don't want to hear it. Find jobs for us. And they do have others doing that. They'll create a job for you in these colleges and universities, in these schools. And when you finish with the program, there's no job there because the job has become extinct. It faded out 10 or 15 years ago. They don't teach you the things you need to know that's going to help you 30, 40, and 50 years from now. Automation, artificial intelligence, how to build robots, how to build these drones, how to assemble them to the point where you can make them from scratch, how to create your own credit union in your banks, in your community, in the resources that you already have, the establishment that are there waiting for you to use. You're going to learn that again through the Eld Henderson Real News Show, Organize, Don't Criticize. And one of the best things you're going to consider today, I think, folks, would be how to move your resources and build through your church something that we call the mixed use real estate development. Mixed use real estate development. And this is where your church leaders, using their own resources that I'm going to talk about in a few minutes, where they get together and say, we're going to plan a whole new community in this area that is blighted with houses that are falling apart, that have been halfway burned down, where the streets are not maintained by the government, and on and on. We're going to learn how to get rid of these things, how to burn them down legally, how to fix the streets, how to get the utility companies to come in and run new lines and new pipes, how to get the city departments to build new streets, or at least pave those that need paved, how to expand the streets if necessary, how to create and build new communities and support you as you do that. We call this using real estate that is totally worthless today. And in 6 to 12 months, you will have a new thriving community, because you can build communities overnight if you get a plan together. If you get with your city government and say, we're going to do something different, we're not going to work 8 hours a day. We're going to generate building teams. We're going to have foreigners coming into this area from other states. And we're going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, building our communities. It can be done, folks. All you have to do is get with the federal government, the state government, the local officials, and work out a plan and say, we are going to work, and stop talking. 3 shifts, 7 days a week. We already have the people in America that are skilled enough to do this. And there are others that can come to America, don't even know the language, and learn how to do all these things that I just mentioned, build it and so forth. They learn how to do it on the job in 2 weeks. Some of you don't believe me. You think you have to go to school all your life, 18 or 20 years, to learn how to do something. But when you want to start talking about supporting neighborhood revitalization, it can be done with the plan. And it can be done with what we call a self-sustained economic structure. Look at what you do. You say, in order to have an economic structure that is self-contained, it first has to be owned by the people that live in the community. You have to own your own businesses in your community, your own neighborhoods, your own homes in those areas that you build through your contractors that are members of your church. You have engineers, architects, bankers, nurses, people that can do academic and vocational and technical programs. All of them, most of them, are certified, have certificates in all kinds of things, and you don't have to be reliant on others to come into your community and do it, because they're not going to do it for you. I told you earlier in this speech, an introduction, that others will come in and what I call revise or rehab your community. They will do it. They'll change it. But they don't want you there when they change it. They're going to kick you out, and they are just going to be very, very nice to you and say, we're going to buy your property. You say, no, we've been here for 3 generations. They're going to get with the local government and state government and so forth. They're going to take it from you through a process called eminent domain. And they then will give you whatever they want and determine the value of your property is. And it always usually 50 to 75% less than what you think is worth and what it actually is worth. Make you move and don't have anywhere for you to move to. Give you that little $10,000 on that $150,000 property that you own and tell you got 30 days to get out. And that's when you start hollering and shouting and praying running to the preacher, running to the community, talking about I need some help. You don't do that, folks. Don't do that. Listen and learn so you can earn and you can become stable where you are. Aren't you tired of begging others to help you when you know they don't want to help you? And if they do help you, it's just give you enough for 1 month. Pay your water bill, give you a little food during major holidays, a little bag of food, a little water, and forget about you until the next holiday period. And that's why a lot of people are homeless. That's why a lot of people have serious mental issues. We call them mental health issues. Well, a lot of people are just thinking they have been voodooed by the systems that they can't even see. They don't understand why they don't love themselves anymore, they can't get ahead anymore, why their loved ones seem to be turning their backs against them, how the children are just going astray. And that's because they hear and see all that disharmony within these families and units and churches and so-called businesses in your community where no one is looking out for your interests and you're about to break apart. And you are. And that's why your family members and your children and others are losing their mind too. Why they don't want to visit with you anymore. They don't want to come to your community because you have not built a sustainable, independent economic ecosystem where you're going to reduce your external systems and bring them to you as your own, because all the external systems that are generating anything in your community, and I'm talking about goods, services, and other production type activities, when those external systems own it all and making you pay for it, they're going to charge you high prices. They're not going to sell you goods that are what I call up to standards, your food, your clothing, your cars, or whatever. Nothing going to be up to standard. All the power from those external systems and where they get the money internally from you, all of those powers going to be in their hand. And I guarantee you, they will make the profit and you won't get anything. And that's why I want you to know, and I'm going to get into the specifics now, it's getting close to our break, that you're going to have to think about how you're going to solve these problems. And my job here today is to tell you that you need to come up with community development corporations through your church. That is a legal document. It's something that churches can do. And there are a few out there that's doing this, where you can lead your internal community development process through these economic development corporations that are members of your church, where you pool the resources of the economists, the bankers, and other specialists that are already operating in your church and in your community, and you can then build around your church, buy the properties, rehabilitate the properties, have multi-tiered buildings and programs and development opportunities there where you can do all your shopping in one place. Go to the doctor there, get a job there, get your groceries there. Everything you need can be in your community development corporation that your church put together within a 3 to 5 mile radius. Imagine you're going to school, living, working, and have your church right there in your community, and all of it has been redeveloped by you. And those smart folks that were in your church community development corporation that you helped fund. And I'm going to tell you where to get that money from in a few minutes, folks, how to do all of this, because some of you don't believe what you hear unless you hear it from a certain person. That's a certain color. You don't believe it, and you want to wait too long. Even when you hear good news, you're going to think about it. You're going to pray about it. I just got to pray on this. I got to pray on it another 2 years. You got to go and talk to your friends that don't know anything about economic development and talk to other folks. And you tell them what you want to do, and they say, well, I don't think you ought to do that. Now, you don't have the skills for that. See, this community just can't sustain itself by doing what you want to do. And those folks are the ones that you want to stay away from because they have something called gentrification and displacement. And I told you earlier, if you don't build yourself, folks will come in and kick you out of those communities legally. And there's nothing you can do because when they buy your property and redevelop it, the prices are going to be too high in your community for you to stay there as you were, and you will be displaced usually in 30 days. We call this urban redevelopment, where they displace long-time residents. And you find that the membership declines in the churches in the community because your church can't sustain itself. If the new people come in, they're usually young families with children. They have high-skilled jobs, and they don't believe in what I call integration. They believe in segregation, where they segregate themselves away from you. They are not going to attend your church. They are not going to attend your public school. They are going to bring their own churches. And a lot of these young couples that's coming up today, they don't believe too much in church. They believe in other things. I'm not going to go into that. I don't want to get away too far from it. But they just say, we're not going to go to that church down the street. We don't want to deal with those folks. And that's why you got to get out. And you might not say, I don't want to leave. And you might say, because you say you can't fight them. And you'll leave. And that's when they start smiling and grinning and say, we got this area now. We're going to build us a nice school. It's going to be a private school. And if too many of these folks that we don't want here they remain because they have the economic wherewithal to do it, we're going to charge $700 a week for child care at our school. We're going to call it a private school. And we're going to charge $700 a week, $1,500 a month. And if they continue to stay with us over a year or two, we're going to raise the price and subsidize our price through our banks, through our credit union, and through our companies. They're going to give us a subsidy where if we have to pay $700 a week, our job, our banks, and others will give us $400. But you are not a member of that community bank, that new bank. And since you didn't start your own, you can't take care and get out of the wealth gap spread where you have your wealth 50% less than the new people that come into your area. And you're going to have what we call limited ability to increase your possibilities for nothing but mobility. You're going to be leaving out of there, walking out of there, bussed out of there, kicked out of there. You're going to move, I guarantee you. So I want you to look at what you are going to expect and what to do, because we have a break coming up. And after this break, we've got 1 minute left. I'm going to talk about how to increase your personal economic initiatives, starting with self, family, and community, where the church is the spearhead and cooperation in that area, where they're going to use those 65,000 job opportunities they have in those places that's vacant already, and how you can move into those areas, and most of you are already there, and regenerate new income, new housing, new businesses, one-stop centers. And you won't have this fragment anymore in your community. You won't have these bureaucratic structures set up to run you out of your place. You'll learn how to build and strengthen your collaboration with others. You're going to learn how to build in just a few minutes this technology capacity to the point where you could be independent. And all of this must be done through the young generation. 30 to 45 years of age. Folks, this is it for right now. Stay tuned. After this midterm break, we'll come back with other solutions. Thank you.
Plan today, protect tomorrow. Life is full of uncertainties, but your family's future doesn't have to be. Having life insurance, a will, and a trust in place is one of the most powerful acts of love and responsibility you can give to your loved ones. Life insurance provides financial security for your family when they need it most. Will ensures your wishes are honored and your assets go where you intend. Trust offers added protection and peace of mind by safeguarding your legacy. Don't wait until it's too late. Start preparing today so your family is protected tomorrow. Need guidance? Contact Dr. Eldridge Henderson at 601-201-1957 to learn more about how to get started. Dr. Henderson is available for speaking engagements. Like and follow us on Facebook and YouTube. Now back to our show.
When was the last time you reviewed your church's bylaws? Are they current with today's laws and regulations, or are they putting your ministry at risk? At PCAP Media, we help churches review, update, and strengthen their bylaws to stay compliant and protected. Don't wait for a problem to arise. Be proactive and prepared. For more information, call PCAP Media today at 601-201-1957. We are also available to help you with your 501c3 application. PCAP Media, supporting today's church with tomorrow in mind.
Okay, folks, we're back. This is part 2 of last week's program. We have 30 minutes left. And to give you a summary, we're looking at what we call economic stability that you are going to create between now and 2050 through your black church, where it is going to get together finally and put together what we call a unified economic movement that's going to be managed by their own leaders in your community, where they're going to learn how to strengthen what we call collaboration, where they're going to learn how to build what we call the technical capacity to do the things they want to do economically, educationally, in training. And they are going to tell you and show you the way to do this, folks. You got to stop thinking about the older OGs, the old heads. They're going to have to step aside a little bit and let the younger generation get involved in these churches, in these new initiatives, and put them on the board of directors, make them young deacons, young trustees. I'm talking about males and females. And these people have the technical skills, and believe it or not, most of them have the investment strategies already been taught to them by certain schools. And then with these folks being involved in the church, they can then get out there and pool their resources among others in other communities and do something that is hard for folks to hear. They're going to get together, and before they do all those things that I mentioned on the last show and part 1 of this show, they're going to come up with a solution as to how to do it. And my job today is to tell you exactly what the black church is going to have to do in order to use those $65,000 buildings that they have that they are using only 6 hours a week. You don't have to rebuild. How can you rebuild a community where you have 65,000 churches and plus others in other parts of the world that you own and control? Lights are on. The building is there. Your lots are paved. You have buses and vans waiting in wire encagements just to use if you need them. And you can do all of this if you get together and do one thing that a lot of church folks are afraid to do. And that is, on a denominational basis, these 65,000 churches plus all those independent churches must get together, pool their resources, and create, listen now, church-based credit unions, and banks. Folks, this strategy will close what we call the racial wealth gap. When you own your own credit union as an entity, as a community entity, and your own bank, I'm going to show you how things will start changing in 30, 60, 90 days. This is not new at all. It has been done in a few places throughout the world. Some blacks have done it in Africa, Asia, a few in America. A few black churches have done this, but not enough. Less than 1% of the economic generating funds come through the black church and the institutions they have put together in America since slavery. So today we're going to show you how to do it, folks. I'm going to tell you creating your own banks. Since I told you last week you had the money to do it, billions of dollars, billions now, not millions, billions, that you are just giving away, throwing away, spending your money on unnecessary activities that's going to keep you sick, broke, and living in hell on earth. And then when you start living in hell on earth, which a lot of you are, you're going to be trying to wonder how you're going to get a chance to live in heaven once you die. And I'm telling you right now, you're not going to make it to heaven. No way in the world to live in hell on earth continuously for 40 or 50 years, and then you die and go to heaven. Can't be done. I don't care what your preachers say. Can't be done, folks. Now, I'm going to tell you how to do this. You must start that credit union first. And then when your monies get to the billions, then you create banks that others can use throughout the world. You want to create the church-supported and generated credit union first because of these reasons. One, if you have your church denominational credit union, you'll find that this is what we call a self-sustaining economic ecosystem that's set up in your community because it's going to keep the vital capital within the community. Going to keep, we call it, the other word for capital could be money. There are different definitions for capital, but the one we're going to talk about now is money. Keep your money in your community. And this, ladies and gentlemen, will give you an opportunity to strengthen your long-term finance independence. Don't you want to have financial independence in your community that's generated through your church and your efforts, where you created a church denominational credit union? You got 65,000 churches, plus a lot of independents. You can create a credit union in less than 30 days. Folks, I'm going to tell you how to do it in just a few minutes. We do all the research. We know everything you need to know. And you'll know how to have what we call a key wealth building tool in your community in 2026. Think about it. Since it doesn't take for 30 days, it's just January now. You can have one if you work hard, work smart, and start next Monday. You're not going to do much this week because I want you to go to your church and talk to your pastors, to your deacon boards and your trustees and say, I heard that we can do better in this community. Say, these bankers are not going to give us money to buy these old houses around here. They're on buildings that people are living in and not supposed to do. All they're going to do is burn them down. When it gets cold, they're going to tear the door down, put it in the middle of the room for heat. Burn it down, go out the back door, and the fire department come there and put it out and want to know what happened. They know what happened. They expect certain buildings to burn down during the winter. But I'm going to tell you now, if you, as a black church, become the economic anchor in your community and create this financial ecosystem that's going to support your members directly, ladies and gentlemen, you will find that things will start changing. And every time, preacher and board of trustee of the individual churches, every time you look up, If you do something like I'm going to share with you today, your membership will be increasing every Sunday. When you do anything, whole families will be coming to your church. And all of them going to have special skills because they have heard about you. They're going to say, I want to get to a place that's going to make me financially independent. I want to get with a church that has the ability financially to create what we call the ecosystem where they can help me, my family, and my community. I might want to start a business. I might want some financing. I've already wanted to do that. I've been thinking about it, but the banks won't give me any money. But when you create your own financial ecosystem in your community through your bank by using your resources, you can do this in less than 30 days. Now, why are you thinking you can't? And I'm going to tell you some of the benefits that you can achieve if you do this. When you create and target what we call your own financial institution, you're going to have something that's very, very different. Now, let me tell you why this is different. This is different because the major banks that you are associated with now know that a bank is one of the most important investment opportunity in a community because those banks determine the destiny of those communities. And if you don't have part in it, where you can make that bank happy and rich, they're going to leave you. They will leave you. There are a lot of banks used to be in your community. They close them down because you didn't go in there and serve them like you supposed to. It was not cost effective for you to have an account there and pay all those fees, all those high interest rates. Put in $100,000 and make 50 cents on $100,000 every month. Create your own credit union and you might have $50,000 in the bank and make 500 interest, because when you have your own community credit union, you create your own terms, your own fee system, and you tailor this according to your membership needs. It's just that simple. And then, folks, you can expand these financial initiatives through other areas. And that's why you have what we call this ecosystem, where you're going to say we're going to have loans for folks that working every day, that have a decent credit history. And the records and studies show that those that have an opportunity to get a loan that's working usually will pay it back if the interest is not too high. And if they're in a position where they can start their own businesses, where they can have the respect they need, if they need a little additional time on something, instead of being demand that your account is closed and we're going to go and put a court challenge against you and sue you for these funds. Folks, your church-based credit union can design the products that are going to fall in these areas: small loans, flexible savings plans, and fair interest rates. That's what they're going to do for you. Because banks want to make money. They don't want to get rid of you unless you are a liability. But if it's your own money through your own church denominational bank or credit union, you're going to find that they will give you a small loan at 2 or 3%. Instead of going to these loan mongers out there that will give you a small loan for $50, you pay $50 back in 30 days. And if you don't, they don't care. They'll loan you another $50 and tell you you can pay $25 interest on this $100 that you have. And if you do this for a few weeks, we'll give you another $50. That's $150. And you'll be in debt the rest of your life. But if you have your community credit union that's designed to look out for your interest, give you these small loans, put you under what we call a flexible saving plan, and teach you how to save your money by teaching financial literacy, folks, with a fair interest rate, you can sleep better at night. Heaven is on earth when you get to that point. And when you know anything, ladies and gentlemen, you'll be able to afford a home, or as the old folks say, buy your own home, because you find them big banks not going to loan you any money if you live in a certain neighborhood to build a home. They have these mortgages set up in what we call these red line areas that are exempt. The mortgage is not coming to an area where the big banks say they can make a good profit because the people that get the loans not going to be able to pay them back. And they are not, because the big banks are in business to make a profit. Every day they want to make a profit, a big profit, 5%, 10%. Take your money, give you $1 on 1,000, and they loan your bank money that you put in your checking account and loan it out for 6 and 7%. And all that they can't loan out, they invest it then in the big products, big companies, stocks and bonds, and make 13 and 14%. And don't even have a program in your community where they teach you how to do the same. But if you have your own credit union or your own bank in your own community that is membership based, they can teach you that. And then everybody get rich. You find that the mortgage will be given through that credit union to buy that old rackety building next door to your church. And you, as a member of that church, with other members that have the skills, will get together, tear that building down, get the permits you need from your city, and rebuild. You could even make an extension on your church. You could put a for-profit wing on your church where they rent that area out to the members at a cheaper rate than they would someone else in another community. Members first, community residents second, and outsiders third. And you will have a 3-tiered rental or lease financial system for those kind of businesses that are eliminate redlining, where the big old banks say we ain't gonna put no money in this community. And that's by planning, ladies and gentlemen, because the big banks and big businesses want you to leave those communities. They want you to leave them because they have segregated against you so long and so often and in such a bad way until they didn't build up and bought everything else outside of your community. And they see now this is time for us to expand and rebuild and generate more wealth for us. And they're going to buy your property or take it and kick you out. And when you know anything, there is no capital for you in your community. When I say capital, I'm talking about money now. I told you that before. There's nothing for you to borrow unless you have your own money. And with your own black credit unions through your church denomination, you then will have the ability to create loans as a community organization in a community where you can start creating job training programs for your members that are not working, that don't have the skills to do anything. I done told you, folks, you got to understand that right now it's good for most people to have what we call an academic, vocational, or technical certification versus a degree in those areas. Get certified first in something where you can make from $18 to $40 an hour. Do that for about a year. And then if you want to waste your time and go to a senior college somewhere and study entrepreneurship, sociology, psychology, general studies, or anything, that's fine. You'll be able to support yourself by the early money that you made with that certification that says you are able to make $25, $30, $40 an hour because of this certification versus staying in the college and getting out of college and making $14 an hour or less. Folks, listen and learn. Stay away from student loans if you can. Stay away from those loan factories that'll give you $50 and tell you come back in 2 weeks and get another 50, and you don't ever finish paying for it. You get the money if you're 30 years age. When you're 50, you're still paying those loans off that you borrow from these loan mongers. That's what I call them. And the state government and local governments, federal governments, all of them support these efforts because these people, and I've been telling you for years, hire lobbyists, pay these folks to go and talk to the city managers, elected and appointed officials, the members of the legislature, to pass bills that are going to give me the ability to charge you 50% on the dollar. And then while you're paying me back, if you can't pay the next week, I can legally give you another $50. I'm making this simple so you can understand, because I got a lot of folks that I know that have done this, engaged in it today. Get you $50 every 2 weeks, every month. Don't ever finish paying your debt. They give you some more. And when you get a certain point, they want to tell you, well, now we can't give you any more money now down here in this, what I call the loan factories, until you bring me your car keys and your title to your car. Do you have that? Yes, sir. I got that now. I'm going to bring you these I want $500 now. Now they're going to give you $500 and your car is worth $3,000. They know you're not going to pay it back. They know it because you can't afford to pay it. So they'll call them old repo boys there. They're going to jack that car up when you sleep at night and you wake up, your car's gone. And then you're going to start calling the police and say, somebody stole my car. They sure didn't. They legally took it because you won't pay your debt. And you didn't pay attention when I'm telling you now, don't get involved in those situations. Because when you find, and here's some good information, when you hear some real news that's going to tell you how you can change your life, your status, and your family in 30, 60, 90 days, ladies and gentlemen, you need to do it. And this is why we are talking about reinvesting and how to make a profit in your community. Because when you create your own credit union or your banking system within your community through your church denominational-based membership organizations, there are three things you're going to have, and anybody then can get some money. They can get loans because you're going to have three things that you don't find in these big banks. You're going to have low fees. When I say low, I mean real low. They might charge you $1 to generate a one-page monthly financial account. Say, I don't know how my bank statement looked. I need last month's investment account. I need a balance for the last 30 days. Oh yeah, you can get that. What did it cost? $3. $3. You go to your credit union. What did it cost to get a statement for my last 30 days to show how much money I have in my savings account, my checking account, and my investment fund? Oh, for the first one, we give it to you free. Then you find that you're going to get better interest rates on your savings and on your checking account, and even get a better interest saving if you have stocks, bonds, or CDs in that bank. And all of this, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be what we call member-driven strategies and governance. The bank officials that are your church members, your church leaders, those that are trained to do banking, going to look out for you and keep you there as a member, because that's the way they get paid, from the little profit that you make by sharing your money with them. I said little profit. It starts off small. But when I finish this, you're going to see that when you get your banking system started in your local community, your president of your bank can make $200,000 and $300,000 a year, because as you save and build those resources, they can get hooked up. And I'm going to tell you about this. I might not be able to finish today. I might have to do part 3. They can start getting local, state, federal, and international funds to put in your bank to build your community. And then they can be competing with the same credit union or the same bank that left your community 6 years ago, 5 years ago, or a year ago. Because I told you before, anyone with the skills and the know-how can start a bank or a credit union within 30 days. There are a lot of processes to go through. But what you do, and your bankers can tell you this, these smart folks know that in order to start any business, there are going to be several things you need to do first. You have to decide what kind of business you're going to start. You have to find the local, state, and federal, and sometimes international regulations. What forms would it take that I have to get to fill them out? What kind of form? State, sometimes local, sometimes national, which we call federal forms, and sometimes international applications. Because if you're going to have a financial institution, you want to get to the point where anybody, anywhere in the world can become a member of it. And that's more money. And that's why then you can be competitive. And then rich boys then can come to your community and buy you out, run you out, and build something else and tell you, no, we don't want you back in here. You can go to their communities and buy them out. Now, folks, I don't believe that. That's what somebody saying. I said, man, I don't believe we can do that. You most certainly can. Even the people that don't like you don't want your money right now. If you have more money than they have, they'll make a deal with you and sell the farmer's property. Just because you're going to pay them more to get it and to get them out of the community so you can expand. See, when you have big money bullies that are out there whipping you and taking advantage of you, they smile. But when you become a big money bully with your own money, your own banks, your own credit union, you can kick them out legally. Or you can say, I'm going to let you stay in this community if you do certain things. See, I'm going to have to retrain you. That's what politicians do and dictators. They don't want to kill everybody. They don't want to run everybody out of the nation. When they fight and win a territory, they say, we're going to re-educate you, to put you in a camp somewhere and re-educate you and teach you about the new laws that's coming up. And say, if you can fill in and do the things we want you to do, we're not going to execute you. We're not going to make you relocate. Because don't nobody want you anyway, folks. If you've been stripped down of all your dignity, no money, education been misaligned, you don't have any kind of knowledge on being competitive, folks don't want you. So if you get in a situation where you can be re-educated, you ought to think about taking advantage of it. And that's what we are doing right now through the Elder Henderson Real News Show, Organize, Don't Criticize. We're going to give you some pointers on how to re-educate yourself so you can have that, what I call build-in trust, where you have financial literacy and credit coaching, where you have the protection against what we call predatory lenders. They're out there like flies. No individual trust. We have some bad news, ladies and gentlemen. Bad news. Got about 30 seconds. I'm just going to be forced to do part 3 next week. 30 seconds. And I want you to listen to this summary. If you're tired of being broken out, living in hell on earth, your church ain't done you no good, you got to get with those leaders and say, we're going to have to rebuild. We're going to have to get ourselves certified through a local denominational credit union or bank so we can all prosper and live where we are. We don't want to leave. So I'm going to end by saying, stay tuned. Come back next week, same time, and hear part 3 on church-based economic development. that's going to lead you through 2050. Oh, we're going to go now.